Okay, goed. Ons begin vandag weer met trigonometry, and today, for the most part, I just want to do some revision of what you guys did in grade 10. Okay, so before we started calling it trigonometry, it was gepraat van driehoek meetkunde. So we are still working with a bit of geometry as we just did, but we have functions that we can apply within triangles. And when we start doing that, we call it trigonometry. So let's just look at the basic triangle first. A triangle with a 90-degree angle. Okay? And I'll call that one the angle theta. Hopefully some of this will start coming back to you guys. So coming back. No? Okay. What do we call this side? Yes. If we had more time, I would draw you a hippopotamus. No, it's not going to work. How do you spell that? E-U-S. Yeah, okay. Hypotenuse. Okay. And if we are looking, so the one opposite the 90-degree angle will always be called the hypotenuse. Die een oor kan die 90-grade hoek is altyd die skynsy. Dit is sy eienskap. So die ander twee moet jy kyk in verhouding met die hoek waarvan jy praat. So to assign the other two sides, you have to look at the angle that we are talking about. So I'm going to look at this one now. Can you guys remember, what do we call this side? It's the opposite side, nee? Die oorstaande. And what do we call this one? CNG. And in Afrikaans is it aangrensing. Okay. And from that we use three different functions: sine, cos and tan. Okay, so ek weet nie hoe julle dit laas jaar geleer het nie. Nee. The ones in brackets are the English ones. Okay. Maar wanneer ons sê die sin van hoek theta, dan gaan ons sê dit is die oorstaande op die skynsy. We'll do a few now. Wanneer ons praat van cos, dan is dit die aangrensend oor die skynsy. And when we're talking about tan, it's going to be the opposite over the adjacent. But we normally do this on an axis. Okay, so if this is 0 degrees, and this is 90 degrees, and this is 180 degrees, and this is 270 degrees, do you guys agree that this will be 360 as well? Nee, een hele omwenteling. One full rotation gets you back on 0 degrees. Nee? As jy iets 360 grade omdraai, dan kom jy mos terug op 0. Okay, so if I draw this triangle in the first quadrant, can you guys remember where the first quadrant is? Point to it. Hulle daar. Nee? Bo links, soos julle sit. Remember? We'll go through them again. Okay. Maar as ek hierdie driehoek nou in die eerste kwadrant gaan teken, dan verander ons eintlik die name van die sye 'n bietjie. We start calling the hypotenuse R. This will be Y and this will be X. And the reason for that is, do you agree that this is the Y axis? Nee, sien julle? En sien julle hierdie sy is parallel aan daai ene. In other words, this will be the Y value of the coordinate. If I make a coordinate there, and let's say this value is 4, then the Y value of that coordinate will be 4 as well. Okay? En sien julle hierdie een lê op die X-as? So hy gee vir ons die X-koördinaat. Okay. So let's say I have that. What would the X-coordinate be? Or the value of X be? 2. And what would the Y value be? 3. Okay. So let's go and rewrite my 3 functions. So sin van theta gaan ons nou skryf as y op r. Cos van theta gaan ons skryf as x op r. En tan van theta gaan ons skryf as y op x. R is nooit negatief nie. R will never have a value smaller than 0. But X and Y can. Because remember, if we're working in our 4 quadrants, there are certain places where a coordinate can have a negative X or a negative Y value, or sometimes both. Do you agree? Hello? Okay, so let's first name the quadrants again, in case you guys forgot them. Any angle between 0 and 90 degrees is in quadrant 1. En ons noem dit skerphoeke, né? So al ons skerphoeke, all of our acute angles will be in quadrant 1. All of our, do you call it obtuse, stomphoeke, will be in quadrant 2. En dan gaat jy so om. One, two, three, 4. So we are dividing 360 degrees into quarters of 90. Nee, 360 gedeeld deur 4 is mos 90. Okay, but 360 degrees doesn't account for all the different angles that you can get, right? Where does 400 degrees go? Anyone? Okay, you guys don't need to draw this on your sketch. But if you start at 0 and you go to 90 and you go to 180 and you go to 270 and you go to 360 and then you go another 40 degrees. In which quadrant will 400 degrees be? Back in quadrant 1. Do you agree? Because if I take 400 and I subtract one full rotation, as ek een hele omwenteling aftrek, what am I left with? With 40 degrees. And where is 40 degrees? In 1. Okay? So sê nou maar, ek trek nou hier lyntjie vir 40 grade. Sê nou, daar is 40 grade. Stem julle saam, ek kan enige hoeveelheid keer omgaan. As ek 360 grade omgaan, gaan ek elke keer by dieselfde lyntjie eindig. Sien julle dit? Hallo? Sien julle dit? 360 grade om, dan eindig ek weer by dieselfde lyntjie. And I can go in the opposite direction as well. If I go this way around, and I go 360 degrees around, I still end up on 40 degrees. Okay. Kom ons praat gou oor 'n negatiewe ene. In which quadrant will negative 100 degrees be? Close. Hoekom in 3? So if you start here and you're going negative now, so you have to go in the opposite direction. Okay? Here you go 90 degrees, now you're there. Now you still have to go another 10 degrees. There. So in other words, negative 100 degrees will be in the third quadrant. Stem julle saam? You'll see why. Okay? Kom ons sê negative 200 grade. Waar gaan hy lê? You go from there, that's 90, that's 180, and then you go another 20. So dan sê in die derde kwadrant, in die tweede kwadrant. Okay. Goed. En die lelike goed van my skets afkry. Okay. Then we have what we call our cast diagram. And the reason why we call it that is it gives you the signs of the different functions in each quadrant. So you write it like this. Kan julle sien? Okay. So, in quadrant 1, all of our functions are positive. En die rede daarvoor is, as ons gaan kyk na hierdie x, y en r. Stem julle saam, as ek 'n koördinaat in kwadrant 1 gaan neersit, gaan sy x en sy y waarde positief wees. Né? Hoekom? Want hierdie kant het ons positiewe x waardes en hierdie kant het ons positiewe y waardes. R is always positive. So regardless of which one of these you are reading off, you will have a positive divided by a positive, which always gives you a positive. So met ander woorde, in kwadrant 1 is al drie my funksies positief. Now if we go to quadrant 2, note that x will be negative, but y will be positive. No? Do you guys agree? So only one of our functions will be positive, and that's sine. Because if you look at this, do you agree it's positive divided by positive? Which is a positive. Stem julle saam? Weet julle dat 'n plus gedeeld deur 'n plus is? Mooi man! Okay, as ons gaan kyk na cos, gaan x mos nou negatief wees. Maar r bly positief, and a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So that is why cos is negative in the second quadrant. And if we go to tan, we have a positive divided by a negative, which gives you a negative value.